tell me it's live. Says it is live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Live from the tip of Cock Tower Square, Your Ass Hurts News Network brings you Brian Kohberger to be released. Breaking news. I want to introduce myself, Sergeant Friday, your host, and the esteemed and always appreciated co-host, Cletus. How are you tonight, Cletus?
It's been a long day. My ass is sore. Long day in the pineapple fields.
Well, you're at the tip of the Cock Tower. It may have something to do with it.
It's either that or the splinters.
Splinters?
Yeah.
From the pineapple?
Splinters, yeah.
You people are insane with the pineapples.
Yeah.
Well, any new developments in just daily life, Cletus? How the hell are you?
I'm all right. I am all right. If I were any better, I'd be twins.
That's fantastic. As most of the viewers may or may not know, this show is directed towards the propagandist morons that seem to conquer the internet at this point. And this is our attempt to push back and show them just how fucked up they are. Cletus?
Yeah. There's not much pushback required.
And ignorance easily observed.
That's absolutely correct.
Absolutely insane.
From Brian Kohberger being absolutely guilty to Ethan's face being pissed on, we'll cover it all.
We will cover it all because facts matter. And even though for most of you internet lunatics, facts may sound like this. We are here to help you. Cletus?
Is that the translation of that?
Most people, I think, would understand what that was saying. I think most people can even decipher that without any effort at all. Their heads are empty enough where that has space to bounce around in.
Oh, that is the language of YouTube, true crime. I see.
That is the language of social media. True crime, politics, doesn't matter what it is. The witch hunters of the world, the idiots that are letting the country slip through their fingers while they falsely accuse and run around with propaganda and, the old typical witch hunting routine, Cletus.
Yeah, well, you can never have a sharp enough pitchfork.
No, apparently not. Yeah, and I think these people they have a monopoly on the pitchfork, and that's really what forced us into the top of the Cock Tower Square. We had really no other place we could lease, Cletus.
Yeah, the heat from the torches was just too much to bear down low. Yeah. You can't handle it in the shaft. You got to get to the tip.
Right. And we even, we're good, right? So where are we? Brian Kohberger to be released. Breaking news. Wait a minute. Where's the sound? We have breaking news on Brian Kohberger to be released on this wonderful day, April 22nd, 2024. Sources are telling Your Ass Hurts News Network that Brian Kohberger is soon to be released. Cletus.
Well, I be damned.
Well, that's a hell of a comment. That's a good comeback. We also have in the house, unbeknownst to us, but now I'll make it aware, we have the Queen moderator and the help desk professional, Clute Minotti, which again isn't a first and last name, although it probably could be. Cletus.
It would be a good last name. It would be a very good last name.
Well, she'd have some Italian in her, which clearly she doesn't have at this point. Cletus.
No, and better not ever.
Pardon us, folks. We tend to just go off topic every now and then. So here we are with Brian Kohberger. So let's review some of the information that the voice of public opinion placed all of their cards in. Right. Let's just show these people that are so smart and so quick to judge and so quick to terrorize and so quick to attack people. Let's see some of the things that they actually allowed themselves to be hoodwinked by. Would that be an accurate description?
Hoodwinked is a very accurate word to describe the situation.
So I'm scrolling through just a little bit here, and there's a whole story about what these kids did that night. And I know that may make it intriguing. It's like the opening to a book or a novel. What say you, Cletus?
Well, it's definitely not a short story, is it?
Well, it goes all the way through the evening hours, early to morning hours the next day. So it's quite the little story about what each individual did, where they were, what they ate, who they were with, what time they came home, and the last time they were apparently on TikTok. And all of that leads up to point to Brian Kohberger somehow. Cletus.
Oh, so it's not like an old crime novel, you know. It was a cold November night. See, it's not that kind of story.
I see here. No. But let's get into some of what people that rely on data for the facts that they can derive from it rarely ever hear this. That's reserved for people that go on public opinion witch hunts and just have no understanding of what to do with information. So we do know that Dylan Morrison had given us a description that she heard comments about someone being in the house, and she opened her door 3 times and she saw nothing. She thought she heard a dog bark, but she thought the kids were playing with it. And she heard what she thought to be crying and somebody calling out, "It's okay, I'm here to help." Apparently not. That statement, folks, unfortunately, sadly, is an untrue statement that she's reiterated to us based on the fact that she claims to have heard that. Cletus?
I'm sorry. There is a public inquiry coming in.
A public inquiry. I don't have my comments up. I had the stream thing coming up. Hang
on. Gray Pearl, what you're looking at on the screen is the Cock Tower.
Cock Tower Square, and we're at the top of Cock Tower Square. Your Ass News Network. That's our home base.
Your Ass Hurts News.
Your Ass Hurts News Network. I'm sorry.
Yeah, news.
Yeah. We tried doing that with that no-legged horse, and we got nowhere. It's a cock tower, not clock tower. We have an affinity and understand the true danger of tower clocks.
That's correct.
And
they're very unstable. Yeah, they're unstable and untrustworthy.
Right. It's Cock Tower Square, headquarters of Your Ass Hurts News Network. And I'm your host, Sergeant Friday. Let's see. Where are we here? Where was I? I was on some of these documents from Kohberger. So in the Kohberger stuff, it's like the body of this is just written in such a precision way that there's no way it couldn't be anybody other than Brian Kohberger. Cletus?
Well, I mean, the eyebrows give it away. You know, plucking hasn't been the same since November 13th of 2022.
Right. So, you know, the FBI had identified a vehicle in that neighborhood that apparently made many trips and backs ups and 3-point turns, and it was a 2011 to 2013. But they later revised that just to be aware. They, for some reason, they were prompted to include all the way up to 2016, which are 2 distinctly different vehicles when it comes to the aesthetics of the rear bumper and also the grille and headlights. But somehow they were able to say that the car was an 11 to a 16. And I think people that work with facts, knowing that the 2 vehicles have distinct, obvious differences, even though they're the same model car, would have to question the veracity of those statements on their ability to identify. Cletus?
I felt quite triggered by the PCA. I felt that they showed extreme racial bias toward Hyundai.
I think Hyundai got a bad rap, and I really think that the Idaho Moscow Police Department should send a formal apology to them. So they've got suspect vehicle run going all over the place over here. 4:04 a.m., 3:26 a.m. They got this poor bastard everywhere except for in the house. But if you were a person that does not need facts in order to support charging somebody with a quadruple homicide, of which that's most of the fucking people in the world, then this description of him traveling around town hoop-de-doo is just enough to put the man in prison. Cletus.
Well, I mean, between that and the Linda Lane footage, that thankfully, lets us hear the dogs barking, the manhole grates moving, and the trunk lid shutting at certain times of the evening, which clearly prove he's guilty.
I wonder if some of the people here in social media land are willing to place their son in the shoes of Brian Kohberger. Cletus?
I don't know. I hear he's got pretty large feet, so I'm not sure that would work out.
Well, we do have confirmation that it was in fact Bigfoot that confirms his alibi. So I'm not surprised his feet are big.
Yeah, I mean,
he's comfortable around Bigfoots. Is that right, Cletus?
One could speculate that he is a shaven Bigfoot.
He's a Bigfoot that
a shorn.
Bought into the
Would that
Bic
be
razor
shaven or
company.
shorn?
Yeah, he's from Gillette.
They just missed the eyebrows.
Not a sponsor of said news channel. Your ass hurts news. So we're not,
But they
but let me just see.
But they did donate to the building of the Cock Tower Square.
Yes. All earnings and proceeds from this show will be used to improve the studios at Cock Tower Square. Let me see if this instills confidence in a normal-minded individual, which Cletus, I'm pretty much okay saying that you're in that group, Cletus.
Normal-minded? Absolutely.
All right, let me read this to you and see how this sits with you. Law enforcement officers provided footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensics examiners with the FBI that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. This forensic examiner has approximately 35 years law enforcement experience, with 12 of them at the FBI. And his specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles. And he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. So this guy is qualified. Would you agree with that, Cletus?
Absolutely.
So this particular highly qualified 35-year veteran, maybe his eyes are a little weak by this time. I can't say for sure. But let's just go forward with what this man is able to accomplish after being in the law enforcement for 35 years. That's like living in hell, right, Cletus?
So they say.
So they say. So after reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed the suspect vehicle 1 was an 11 to 13 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated it could also be an 11 to 16 Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle from 11 to 16. So am I to accept, Cletus, that this highly trained professional with 12 years at the FBI, the preeminent law enforcement agency on the planet, is that fair, Cletus?
That's fair.
Not the fact that, aside from the fact that they're a criminal bullshit, hateful organization that should be abandoned, that being put aside. What do you make of a highly qualified person coming to a determination of the year and make model of a vehicle, only then to later change his determination? Cletus?
Well, if
I told you
he
that gun was not
detected
loaded,
that if he detected that it had bushy eyebrows, then I can understand his change in year model.
So if the car had bushy eyebrows, but is this akin to me handing you a gun and telling you that it wasn't loaded and you pointing it back at me and pulling the trigger? I don't think I would trust pointing that gun at anybody until I checked it myself.
I would agree with that.
Right. So you have this highly trained professional that then gives you 2 different year, make, model cars. 2 different groupings of cars. From 11 to 13 is one style of grille and rear bumper assembly. Unique to those 2 years. And the other group of 14 to 16 has its own different, uniquely different bumpers, front and back, and grill work front and back to the 11 to 13. Is it something that maybe he didn't pick up while he was spent 12 fucking years at the FBI to realize that these two cars, although both Elantras, are uniquely different? Cletus?
I mean, it is possible. We should pay more tax dollars for better training.
Would you accept your son or your child to be arrested on statements like that?
Would I accept it?
Yeah. Would you be okay with it? Would you think your kid was involved?
Absolutely not.
Okay. They then go on to talk about Brian Kohberger's phone. And the most important thing that they say about Brian Kohberger's phone, you know what that might be, Cletus?
What's that, Sarge?
Well, that his phone wasn't connected to a network during the time of the crime. They can't track his phone.
Well, that must prove that he did it. I mean, in the words of Troy Landry from Swamp People, shoot him.
Say that again.
Sarge, are you
Yes,
there?
Sir.
Okay.
Oh, I'm here. I'm scrolling through this to get to the the exceptional cast work that was done. Right?
Like fishing?
Well, now that would be a topic I think all could enjoy, in all fairness. Right?
Yeah.
So we have an arrest warrant for a multiple homicide, 4 people to be exact, and so far we have some white Elantra that could be anywhere from two different fucking similar models, not one but 2, which is kind of effed up on its face.
But
so
didn't the Elantra do the Harlem Shake in front of the home?
It did. It did. Well, didn't it do the Crip move or Crip dance?
The Crip walk. Crip walk. That's
walk.
right. That's right.
The Hyundai did a Crip walk, and during that Crip walk, they noticed it might not have a front license plate. I don't know if that's something that I would want to be arrested for, or used in an arrest warrant for a quadruple homicide, that the car they observed might not have a front license plate. I know mine don't. Cletus?
Well, I mean, that would narrow it down to belonging to us, one of over half of the states in the nation. So, I mean, that's
that information is but that's the information the propagandist and the popular opinion fed off from, and they're still feeding off it. They're devouring it like ravenous hyenas that just came across I don't know, something dead, because that's what they do. They eat dead shit, right?
Yeah.
They're scavengers. So now this is important because they tracked Mr. Kohberger's phone. And we're going to hear now the insight of a police officer. This insight is awesome. However, nowhere during the course of his description of this book-like fucking document does he show that he could identify Brian Kohberger doing any of this.
Now, when you say they tracked his phone, you're referring to the same phone that wasn't connected to the network, and that at the time of writing this document you're reading, they didn't have in their possession. Is that
correct? They had they had no ability to they didn't investigate Kohberger, which is what this document is full of, reasons to investigate somebody. Fair enough?
Yeah. So they used that magic track. I got you. Okay.
Right. And so this gentleman tells us that based on his training, experience, and conversations with law enforcement officer that specialize in utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime, or turn their cellular telephone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area where a crime is committed. Huh. I mean, he just blew it for everybody now when they want to track phones. Now the criminals they know exactly how to avoid detection. Cletus?
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave that phone on, and make sure that your car, number one, is not a Hyundai, because Lord knows that race of cars is just horrible. And then secondly, make sure that your car doesn't know how to crip walk.
Well, let me just say that the other bit of factual data, or so-called factual data, were actually bullshit that everybody bought into. Let me just give you a few more statements of that. because this cop is the fucking shit. He knows that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. Sounds like stalking to me, Cletus.
Absolutely.
Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or for several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual would not leave their cellular telephone at a separate location or turn it off, since they do not plan to commit the offense on that particular day. Cletus?
So it's like a stakeout.
So it's like this guy is reasoning what he thinks happened. His mind has produced these words that say nothing. And 95% or everybody that went Kohberger was guilty relied upon these statements as a basis to convict the guy. Cletus?
It sounds like they interpreted the words of this document in a way that really resembles that sound effect you've been playing.
And I wonder if that sound effect is actually really being running through the heads of the people that have already believed and determined that Kohberger committed this crime. Because at the end of this, there's going to be a shocking point to make. So on December 23rd, pursuant to a search warrant, I received records of the Kohberger phone, basically. And it comes from Pennsylvania. It gets into the details of where the phone came from, blah, 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 when he got it. All that shit matters. It proves he did it. These records also include historical cell site locations, CSLI, for the phone. After receiving this information, this is top cop, right? This guy should have his own TV series like TJ Hunter. Cletus, I think we have our man. So I consulted with an FBI special agent that is certified as a member of the CAST team. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI. They're certified to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to be certified with CAST, as well as the completion. This is an ongoing educational process. You have to award your law enforcement agencies for this, as well as completion of a yearly certificate required. Additionally, the FBI CAST that I consulted with is over 15 years of federal law enforcement. I mean, we're up to almost 50, 60, 70, 100 years of law enforcement going into this particular investigation.
Well, who could argue with that?
Well, this particular top cop makes this statement, which probably means, exactly what he said. I was able to determine estimated locations. Oh, no, hang on. 15 years of law enforcement, which includes 6 years with the FBI from information provided by CAST. I was able to determine estimated locations for the phone from November 12, 22 to November 13, 22, the period authorized by the court. On November 13th at 2:42 a.m., the phone utilizing this resource, he left. Basically, he left his house in Pullman. In approximately 2:48, the phone utilized a cellular resource that provided coverage southeast of the Kohberger residence, with the phone leaving the Kohberger residence and traveling through Pullman, Washington. This is consistent with the movement of the Elantra. Now, here's the kicker. At 2:47 a.m., the phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in the area without coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or the phone is turned off. Or let me add, the fucking battery died, okay? The phone does not report to the network until 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized a location somewhere in Idaho, there close by. But here, where in there does it say Mr. Kohberger did any of those acts? Turned his phone off, didn't turn his phone off, put it in airplane mode. Is there any evidence to support the argument that's what he did?
Not without his phone in their possession. There would be no way to have evidence to support that.
It's that kind of ignorance, that kind of writing that these people all wrap their heads around. It's like when they go after Chris, and hopefully the tides are turning, they're going to go give Seth what he earned, right? there's no statement of fact in any of this. This PCA is a theory. It's a theory based on images that have a likeness to the car Brian Kohberger owns, and it's a theory based on where that car was traveling. On images, there is no question that Mr. Kohberger's phone cannot be identified as being at that residence because it wasn't connected to the network. Cletus?
Agreed.
Do you think at this point Kohberger should have been charged with this crime?
At this point, no. Because there's no, it would be like, it would be like all these nut jobs out here going and arresting Chris Proudfoot for Sebastian's disappearance.
Right. There's no evidence. You just showed us So again, this top cock based cop, not cock. Cop. Who's kind of a cock in and of himself. Based on my training, experience, and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe a sinful word to use in an application that Kohberger, the user of the phone, was likely the driver of the Elantra that is observed departing Pullman. And this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Likely. You've provided no information that would confirm that vehicle in any way, shape, or form belongs to Brian Kohberger. Cletus?
No, it's just likely.
And yet, the masses of people, the masses of streamers, the masses of the witch hunters, all of those jerk-offs that I've mentioned over these last several streams, were all pounding Kohberger's guilty. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Dylan's description of him is inaccurate. There is no description of him. There is no eyewitness to his presence in that home. It's all supposition. He has a likeness to her description. Well, I guess I have a likeness to anybody because I'm human. Cletus?
Yeah, I mean, without a race being specified in her description of him, there's a lot of people that fall into that description.
So
but at least she doesn't segregate.
He doesn't segregate. So let's go over a few of the other pieces of information that really turn these witch hunting, non-thinking individuals into the mess that they are. We have told that Mr. Kohberger was in the area 12 times at a similar time of night, driving in similar locations. Is that fair, Cletus?
That's fair.
And we were told in this particular affidavit that Mr. Kohberger and that people with Mr. Kohberger's intent would stalk an area prior to a crime. And those 12 phone calls appear to fill that void, do they not? Those 12 visits?
They do.
And so for somebody that doesn't read a document and try to understand the words in the document and superficially just love to run to the drama, that's enough to show that Kohberger stalked his victims. Fair enough?
That is fair enough.
What else is the defense giving us when it comes to that? Blurry pictures, no pings, nothing to show Mr. Kohberger there. They argue that, in fact, none of the genealogy was used in his arrest. Correct?
That's correct.
So if they didn't use genealogy in their arrest, which means they had no DNA to confirm he was part of this crime, that's exactly what by not using it in the warrant, that means it wasn't used. Therefore, the only basis you had to arrest him are the areas of the PCA that we've all covered. Fair enough?
That's fair.
And this man was arrested for likely, for similar, and for no solid fact whatsoever in any of that document. And yet that document is like 19 pages of bullshit. Just enough for the average chaotic social media lunatic to buy into. Cletus?
It's the perfect theoretical narrative.
The perfect theoretical narrative. And it is a theory, I think, right? We can agree with that.
Theories are very rarely based on facts, so yeah.
Right. So let's cover a few things that we're aware of. Is there anything Anna said that you're aware of that contradicts any of this narrative that was presented in documents or the court of law and has yet to be disputed?
That she has presented that is yet to be disputed?
Right. Has she filed motions and in those motions made statements that have yet to be refuted?
She has made a recent motion that made statements that have not been disputed yet.
Did she say anything about DNA?
At one point, she has made statements about DNA. Yes.
What did she say, so the viewers are aware of that?
I don't recall.
Miss Taylor had stated that there is no DNA
That's right.
connected to Brian Kohberger's apartment and blah blah blah, the whole 9 yards, everywhere this man could ever be, and there's no victim DNA associated with him. Now, most particularly, the vehicle that he used to commit this crime was the first thing mentioned, and in addition, her statement ends with "and no way to explain it." There's no DNA here and no way to explain it, meaning there's no argument of bleach or any sanitary cleaners to be used. Is that a fair assessment of what she stated there, Cletus?
I believe that is a fair assessment.
And yet, the public opinion crowd got their hairs up on their back and started screaming, well, they got info we don't know about. And that was their argument for the longest time. What else did she tell us? Mr. Kohberger, that the FBI relied here. Now tell me this is not a believable statement. You got an FBI analysis that came up with 2 different vehicles, correct?
Correct.
And when then Ann filed a motion, in the motion she states the FBI relied heavily upon a vehicle on the wrong road, going the wrong way at the wrong time. Is that believable?
It makes more sense than at least any 5 pages of that PCA combined. Yeah. So I would put credit in that before I would the PCA for sure.
So now we can establish that up to this point, Ann Taylor said nothing that would be propaganda or distraction or any of that. Is that fair?
That's fair.
So the judge did rule in favor of Kohberger today. We're going to cover that quickly or shortly. So what else do we have? We have this motion. We have a gentleman that is, I don't know, hundreds or even 1,000 prosecution cases. He's been used. His name is Cy Ray. He's a CSLI expert. And he's been used for prosecution to lay out the location of people's cellular phones. Right? And
Correct.
He's been successful, very successful in what he does. He has come and been retained by the defense attorney for Mr. Kohberger. And in this motion is damning. I mean, this motion takes the PCA, and you wouldn't even want to wipe your ass with that paper after you hear this.
No, you'd be afraid of getting splinters for sure.
Absolutely. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer the testimony of Cy Ray. And they tell you what he is. And so they got his resume attached to show that Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho, on November 13, 2022. That Brian Kohberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Pullman Highway in the early morning hours of November 13, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman Highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. Additional information as to Kohberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progressed, include additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested, and now subject to an upcoming motion to compel. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Kohberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. That is a damning filing.
But he's only been a badass for 25, 30 years. He can't stand a chance against 100 years of experience combined from the prosecution side, surely.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point that a lot of the empty heads may grab a hold of. There's at least 100 years of cop experience versus just poor Cy Ray.
Right.
The interesting thing about Cy Ray is not going to use the cellular tower that the cops use. They're going to use the phone. They're going to go into the phone and they're going to pull out the metadata. And I think many users that pay attention to facts recognize Steve Gonzalez's statement that there's a lot of technical analysis and technical things that are going to come up. This guy did it. He was animate that what that stuff was going to show was this kid did it. And in fact, Mr. Ray is telling us, no, he didn't do it. He wasn't there, is what Mr. Ray's testimony is shaped up to be in that motion. Is that fair?
That's fair.
So Kohberger's arguing he wasn't there. For the first time, people get to hear that. And rather than people accept and understand the severity of what the defense is saying, they want to argue about the fucking park and staring at the fucking moon and taking pictures of the fucking sky. They want to tear that apart. They want that drama to be all that matters, when in fact it's not even close to what this motion is saying. The motion's saying, you people are withholding evidence. Okay, you're not giving us the information that's going to corroborate this kid is innocent, and we're now pushing for a new motion. And this gentleman, this expert of ours, is telling you that this kid wasn't there. None of these programmed, mindless people that jump on these bandwagons of public opinion have the capacity to even comprehend what I just said. It's beyond their ability. This, though, is something that they themselves probably have running through their head 24 hours a day. It's a sad shame, Cletus.
America.
It's the whole world, man. There's 5.92 billion people online. And the majority of people online don't look for facts. They look for drama. They go after Chris Proudfoot. Now they're going to go after Katie. They've been going and tearing these people apart, digging into their past, turning them into villains. For what? Why weren't these people be turned into villains before there was ever a missing child? Right? I mean, if that's our job to just demonize each other based on things we did in our past, we're behind the 8 ball, Cletus.
Well, I mean, I guess this situation proves that you can whoop a kid's ass till they go missing and everything's okay.
Yeah, you whipped his ass, you hit him with a belt, and that just makes you a murderer or a kidnapper or pedophile or whatever it is they're trying to imply Mr. Proudfoot is. I don't know where they're trying to go ultimately with that. Do you?
No.
So Brian Kohberger will be released. It's this reporter's opinion, based on fact, that regardless of what the state provides, there will be a motion for dismissal. And because most of you program morons, okay, can't think beyond your own nose, what you're going to come to face when this is over is a crime with no crime scene. Because the people that you put stock and faith in as to have caught the right person are going to be left with nothing to investigate when the motion to dismiss is approved. No different than the motion that was approved today by Judge John, which a lot of people argued he would not approve. And in fact, he probably would not have approved it if the idiot, the guy you put all your faith in, that Santa Claus crack smoking loser called Bill Thompson, didn't object in an open courtroom and list the 9 questions publicly, 2 of which he took big offense to, 2 of which proved Kohberger did not stalk and proved that the prosecution knew he did not stalk. That was the reason that this survey is being allowed. The judge said to the effect that some of that information was not public record and he wouldn't allow it in a survey, except now that it's been talked in open court and is part of the public record. Therefore, he can find no reason not to allow it to continue.
And that was the moment Bill knew he fucked up.
And that was the moment Bill knew. He did rule in favor, but he ruled in favor of the survey to include questions that were not part of a public record, in his opinion, but became part of the public record because of a public hearing. Cletus, what would you do if you had a day like this at work?
I'd probably learn how to cast.
I think the world would be better off if more of us learned how to cast. Oh my God. And yet the irony in that, and I'm a big lover of irony. I think irony is like the most amazing thing you get out of the universe. And the irony that Bill may have had a valid objection to the survey, yet destroyed it himself. Cletus?
Sarge, I believe you have breaking news coming into your Discord that the audience would like to see.
Where am I going to find this?
On the Queen moderator's messages.
Bear with us, folks. We do have breaking news. We need to find the where the hell are they? Comments. Oh, great. Can't click on it twice. Only click on it once, Cletus. Let's see here.
It's in your Discord.
I'm trying to get him to pull it up. So what is she got? I'm looking here in Discord. Oh, it's in Discord.
Correct.
Oh, Cluminati shows a map. Oh boy.
Twizzle.
What the hell's a Twizzle?
Twizzle stick. Or Twizzle sticks.
I'm going to open up. But what am I showing here? What is this? The route that he took?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to explain this. I'm going to present this, and then feel free to come up, share screen. I'm going to, and then because you can educate me on it too.
No, Twizzle will have to explain it. He's in the chat right now.
Oh, all right. Bear with me. Where did that go? Share screen. I think it disappeared from my. There it is. Okay. Does that person? Do you know this person?
Yeah, Twizzle's a local there.
Then I give Twizzle a link or something. Does Twizzle want to come up and explain this?
Yeah, you can post it in your chat if you want to. The link. He goes
There
on.
you go. Yeah, feel free to come up and explain. I mean, we're here at your Ass Hurt News Network. We're open to be educated.
This would appear to be signal strength indications for, yeah, that's what it appears to be. It's cell signal strength indicators.
I'll be up sending the link. All right, I did send the link, right? There it is. It's showing up in YouTube. It certainly is. Welcome, Twizzle Stick.
Yo, Sergeant Friday. I'm a huge fan.
Wow.
I've been a huge fan for like a year, bro.
And I just started streaming on the prompting of my co-host Cletus.
Yeah. No, I saw you a long time ago over, I forget what channel, but I always thought you were hilarious.
Yeah, I used to have a channel. I used to do politics, but I stopped in 2020 and just stayed away.
No, it was on something to do with the Idaho.
Oh, okay.
The Idaho case.
Well, what do you got for us here with this map?
All right, well, this is the cellular coverage. So, do you have the PCA brought up by chance?
I can bring it up if you bear with me.
Well, I've got it, so I'm just going to share my screen.
Wait a minute. Here we are. Is it where they show the dots of locations? Is that what you were looking for?
Well, this tower, this shows like the tower cover, right?
Okay.
So if you bring up the PCA on page 13.
I'm going to run right to it. Hang with me here. Where are you? I have to get into the technical department of News.
Yeah, I mean, you can just share my screen. It just needs
Page
you to tap
13.
on
No,
something.
I'll bring us to page 13.
All right.
Page 13. Okay. Rather than share it, we got that map. What in here is important that you need to see or want to hear?
All right. So at the near the bottom, it says the 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95, south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho, north of Genesee.
Okay.
So you see how this coverage map covers, you can't really tell on the map what side it is, but on the right side, that's Highway 95. So this covers south of Moscow, near Blaine, north of Genesee on Highway 95, right? This is where the Moscow PD is saying that he connected to service again.
Okay.
Right? On the west side is the route back up from Wawawai Park.
Right.
So he would have connected to the same tower coming out of Wawawai Park.
Oh, look at that. You heard that here fucking tonight, folks. That's breaking news. We have someone that knows how to read cell phone data and make a map, which makes
Well, I
it
didn't
very
make this
simple.
map. This is online. It's all open source. I just took a picture of my screen because somebody sent me the website. But I don't know if you know this, Sarge. I live in Pullman. I drove
I didn't
down
know
to
that.
Wawa a couple of days ago. It's all recorded. I picked the route that I figured that he would have taken. All I was looking for was the tower that connects the two.
And
There
it
it
does
is.
exist. So there is a tower that they could misinterpret as placing him over there
Yep.
because they saw a white Elantra on some camera and they just decided that ping had to have been that area and that Elantra.
Yep. They needed him to be south of Moscow.
These people are
All I'm
insidious.
saying is he drove down to Wawa, hung out for a little bit, came back up. He does like to drive at night. He took a little loop, connected to the tower.
And there you have it, folks. This so someone says, "Oh my God, this means that drank the Kool-Aid is showing the map to find the big D." I don't know exactly what that means.
The D.
The D. Well, Twizzle Stick, it's always been my contention that there was never any evidence against Mr. Kohberger. It was all a story based
Oh
on
yeah, the
some cop's
PCA is
imagination.
complete garbage. It's garbage. Like, again, I live here. Every time I drive to Moscow, I connect to the tower that covers 1122 King Road. I don't stalk anybody,
Are
but
you
I connect
sure?
to the tower.
Do you do any 3-point turns late at night?
No,
Can your
can't say
car
I
crip
do.
walk?
No. No, I
Have
don't
you
think
ever
so.
ridden a horse with no legs?
Well, funnily enough, while I was walking through Wawa Park a couple days ago, I had my flip-flops on. It kind of sounded like I was a horse, so
Okay. But
I
the
don't
horse would
know.
have no legs, so it wouldn't really sound like that.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one to ride.
But
But hey, it's be a safe horse to ride. You're not going to get thrown.
right.
So maybe it's an introductory to horse riding. I'm
No,
not sure.
no legs, but 4 nays.
Yeah. No, it's also really funny. Like I don't know how deep you want to go into this right now, but at like 2:43, they have him heading north on Nevada Street and Stadium Way
All
on
right.
camera. At 2:53, they have him heading south on Nevada Street and Stadium Way on camera. They say that that road can lead back to Moscow, which it can't because you have to turn on Stadium Way and then take a left to go towards Moscow. But
Okay.
there is a camera on that intersection, yet it's not in the PCA. So, what are the chances that the FBI wouldn't ask for that camera?
Well, the FBI wasn't officially a part of this investigation, so
I mean, we can read the PCA because it says they got the pictures from the FBI.
Well,
well,
maybe once they're finished fabricating their full cast report, they will produce photos as well from that camera.
right.
You would
My
think.
my
But
big
again,
argument
they
is
have the one from Nevada Street. They don't have one, a couple hundred feet away. And the only reason why I could think is because he doesn't take a left to go to Moscow. It doesn't fit their story, so they left it out.
right now the cannabis shop in relation to going from his home to their home. Is that on that direct route heading that way? Where's
It
this
is on the
cannabis shop?
direct Moscow Pullman Highway.
So there's another piece of information that Anna's released that's it's been sequestered under a gag order. Now we know what camera they relied upon to identify the 2016 Elantra. And that camera's 100 and something feet from the road. Right? You couldn't identify whose car that was if you were, no matter who you were.
Well, I mean, again, it doesn't really matter because he didn't take a left to go down that road.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I think
No, I
that's the
understand what you're
camera
saying.
she may be.
Well, that's the thing is none of their camera shots, none of them can be clear.
None of that.
You'd be able to
No.
identify the car, and first and foremost, you would never be able to mistake a 2011 to 2013 Elantra between a 2014 to 2016.
What do you think, Cleves?
The headlights are different. The taillights are different. There's lines on the body that are different. They are easy to tell apart.
Well, the body lines, I'll disagree with it. That body stamping was the same from 2011 to 2017. It changed.
There's like a little change. I'd have to look again. There's like a little changes. It's not big.
There's
The
changes in
headlights
the
and
back
taillights.
bumper. The fascia is very different in the rear.
Right.
And the tail light, the reflector lights are very different on each make model. And the front bumper and grill and headlights, you're right. There is a slight difference in them. And that difference is how you would depict which year you're looking for.
Yep.
Right? You would depend on those intricate differences, which I think the FBI did to begin with. And then I think they brought the FBI a picture of a similar car going on a different road.
Yep.
And he identified that as a 14 to
It
16. You
could
see,
be
I
a
think he
14 to
identified two
16.
separate cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's only at the time of the crime there was like 1,000 registered Elantras between Moscow and Pullman. Those might just be university students. Like I don't remember, but
Right.
it was something along those lines.
Well, if you look
White
at the Linda
sedans are like the
Lane
most
footage,
common car in America.
if you look at the Linda Lane footage, the car on the left in the parking lot, right up against the building,
Mm-hmm.
can be mistaken easily for an Elantra.
Sure.
And that's a Toyota Camry or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
All the
other
cars
make model
nowadays look the
vehicles.
same.
Right.
Like,
There's
only Hondas make something that looks a little weird.
there's 5 body styles in profile, including a Ford that could be identified either way if you don't have a clear view.
Right.
Right, there is that for sure. But I don't think that any of that matters. I think what was stated in that last statement, that last motion, that's the end of the case.
Yep.
That should demand a dismissal.
Yep. I agree.
Well, Cletus, enjoy the guest. Talk for a minute. I'll be right back.
What's happening, Twizzle?
Just chilling. About
How
to
was-
go drive out to Wobblewai in a little bit.
Yeah, I hear the stargazing out there is pretty nice.
Yeah, it probably is. That's not why I'm going out there, but I'll take a look at the sky to see. But while I was down there, I talked to a gentleman who works there, and I was like, "You guys don't lock this gate, do you?" And he said, "No, they don't lock the gate." And I was like, "Well, that's good, because it'd be kind of weird, with no cell service down here. If somebody got hurt, like, how could they get out?"
Yeah.
I
closed the
bet you would
gate.
find cars parked outside of that gate.
Well,
where people leave their cars and run through the park.
no, they definitely could do that. I'm not saying that's not true, but the gate is open, so they could just push it open and drive in. There isn't really a spot right outside the gate where you could park, but there is down the hill. So,
Oh, okay. All right. So that would be limited. If you parked at the street, how far is the street from the gate?
I don't know, not far, 5 feet.
Yeah.
Like the gate's right up on the road.
Okay.
But
Unbelievable. What if he does show a picture of the moon that night? What do you think there, Cletus?
I don't even care. Just prove to me he was in Idaho.
Well, the reason I say that is, do you think the lunatic fringe on the internet that controls all the propaganda and all the hate and witch hunt, do you think they would bark at that picture?
They might.
I
It's actually really crazy, right? So I was talking with Clue and Cletus before I was heading out to the park, right? And I got my car battery started. I drove out to Walmart, bought a mount so I could put my phone up, to record the drive, right? And then I start driving, and I'm like, can I use GPS and record at the same time? Nope, I can't. So I had to come back home, charge my old iPhone 6S so I could record the drive on it, right? It's not hooked up to cellular service, no SIM card, nothing. Through the GPS, that thing was telling me where I was, which buildings I was next to on campus. It was wild.
Man, well, I hope the main point of this channel is simply to point out to people that information is flows and it ebbs and it changes and it gets added to it. It's like putting together a puzzle. And it seems as if we've all been trained to just be morons.
Some of us have been, for sure.
Well, I think we've all got the training, and I'm sure all of us apply it equally.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know.
Listen, I don't even know either, but I'm just saying it's so crazy.
It boggles my mind somehow, or sometimes how people can be so dumb. I don't get it.
Yeah, and look, go ahead, please.
If he did take a picture of the moon that night, maybe it's got bushy eyebrows, and that would be the actual culprit.
As long as his GPS is on, I believe from what my phone told me, that picture is going to say it was taken in Colton, Washington.
If he took pictures that night, he may not, people are arguing it was cloudy and overcast that night, but what about the statements he often hiked and jogged late at night?
Exactly.
I mean, people try to turn it into the park.
Oh, but Sergeant, it's
Yes.
29 degrees that night. You're crazy to go running. Guess what? Mooberry Track, Pullman, Washington. Look it up. I run on that when it's 32 degrees outside. Am I weird? Am I a murderer? No.
Listen, I see people running, and I live in an area of the country that's cold, and believe me, it doesn't stop those people that jog from jogging.
Sure doesn't.
Okay? And you're a jogger, you're a jogger.
Yep.
It's not if you're a Twinkie eater and you stuff your face with all of them nasty chemicals that they offer us, then yeah, you're gonna do that wherever the hell you go. Nothing changes. You are who you are. But it's
Yep.
interesting that the propagandists and these idiots that don't want to look at it and demand a fact. Give me a fact, right? They then, when given facts like Ann Taylor has given, immediately attack the fact. But the bullshit the cops told them is they're comfortable. They cuddle with it.
Well, I think it's like even worse than that, right? Because like we could pull up the PCA right now and read it, right?
Yep.
But they change what the PCA says. They add words. They
Right.
forget words. Oh, well, he turned his phone off. Where does it say that in the PCA? But they all say it. Oh, he pinged near the house 13 times before the crime. Where does it say that? It
Well,
Doesn't
doesn't.
say it anywhere.
it kind of does, right? It gives
No,
it
it does not.
that PCA gives you the opportunity to choose your own adventure.
Yes.
Exactly. All it does is say that he connected to the tower that covers the 1122 King Road. That's all it says.
Yeah.
Listen, whether it was cloudy or not doesn't mean the man couldn't run. It doesn't mean the guy couldn't have been bored and just drove around. Here's the thing that offends me the most, and this I take personal offense to, is that nobody looks at the kid's background as just an American that's living his life. And it just take the information about the guy. And when you do just that and take away this crime, he's just another dude amongst millions of dudes that are trying to make his way through the world.
Yep,
Right? Isn't that fair?
it's fair.
Why is his education suddenly turned into this horrific motive to kill people? That's why he went to school. This guy went to school to kill people. No. Where's the proof?
I lived here in Pullman for 4 years previously. It's mostly college kids. Can't say anyone ever died. Nobody was killed. They're all going to school. If Brian was going to school to learn how to kill people, at least one of them would have been going to school to learn how to kill people, right? Criminology isn't a new subject.
And what he was taking wasn't about killing people, it was forensics.
Right.
It was the cloud forensics. This guy wasn't even in a field that would educate him any more beyond the forensics or your electronics. He wasn't taking biology and DNA and
You
he
probably
knew
have
all
to
the
as
protocols.
prerequisites, Bio 101 or something, but nothing in depth, nothing crazy.
Correct. And I guarantee you, in that school, they didn't train the people that investigated his crime scene.
Right.
All right, because those guys were wearing windbreakers, and then they come out of the house with microscopic evidence, not a smoking gun.
You mean K-Bar?
Right.
You mean K-Bar fighting one of his electives?
No, but
well, here's another fun fact for all of the haters out there. K-Bar is not a fighting knife. It's a survival knife. I think you guys talked about this the other day. But
it's a weapon of war, though.
you can kill people with it, right? It's a knife. I could kill somebody with a 2-inch knife, but that's not what it's designed for. It's not what it was used for. The tips are known to break off of them when you stab something, so.
Yeah, that is possible. However, it is a vicious weapon. As to whether it was used or not is also in question. Nobody has released the information on the wounds the victim suffered.
Right.
So we don't know.
And per the PCA, I think they have different wound profiles, which means most likely multiple weapons.
And the worst part is there's no crime scene left to investigate.
No, I don't think they want there to be one.
Well, there isn't one. Whether they want it or not, they certainly got what they got none. Right, Cletus? They got nothing.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm appalled at the amount of people on social media that did not read this document for the words that were written within it.
Nope.
And didn't question the veracity. If they all must have watched Cousin Fucking Vinny, they all must know that word. Right? Where's the veracity of that document, Cletus?
I don't know, but I do know the $1 million question right now is, Twizzle, how do you feel walking around an area where there likely is still a murderer of 4 lurking?
It doesn't bother me any. I think that it was a targeted attack. So why would I be a target,
Well, you might stumble upon their weapon by accident. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perplexing case, and the thing with the case that really annoys me, and with all these other cases, is it's so sad how the masses of people jump onto the drama and the bullshit and ignore the information that's really trying to tell you a story.
What'd you
There's a
guys say
story in
last
that
night?
document they missed.
Click sucker.
That's it, click sucker.
Click suckers. That's
That's why I titled my stream Brian Kohberger to be released.
Click
Right?
sucker.
That was not a Yeah News original. That came from a gentleman by the name of James Vaughn, I believe. So full credit
that's
for
funny.
that term goes to
Did
him.
did you read my comment? I'm guessing not, but you said somebody was King something, and I started calling Bill Thompson King Tainter last week. So
You know, there's a person named Genealogy Girl. Not Genealogy Girl, I'm sorry, Golf Inspector. And she has a clip. She hasn't dug it out yet, but there was a hearing where right after the indictment, and something had come up in court, and Ann was making statements, and the prosecution was like defending their choice to indict. And off the cuff statement by Judge was, "It's because you got a weak case."
yeah,
He has that video. He made an off the cuff statement similar to that, maybe not in those exact words, but that's what he was saying to the prosecution. It was kind of shocking.
I've never thought that Judge thought that Brian was guilty because he's always laughing and joking and smiling. You know, he doesn't seem to be taking the case that seriously.
Who does he think was targeted? Gray Pearl is asking you there, Twizzler.
Who do I? No idea. I, without having the actual evidence, how could I know? I just don't think Brian did it, and that's what's most important. Like, it sucks that 4 people lost, but we don't need a 5th victim that's innocent.
No, I stick with the information given to me, and I think the killer's amongst the people mentioned in these documents.
Well,
if not directly involved, listen, if not directly involved,
for sure.
I don't think it's some. I think if there were outside people, that doesn't negate this person's involvement. I can't imagine of the people named that one of the 2 survivors didn't have prior or current or involvement. I just can't. I can't wrap my head around to accept that, because there's never been a murder case where almost 99% of the time it is somebody from your immediate circle. It is somebody in the immediate vicinity. And when somebody tells you they were there before, during, and after and found the crime scene, it's almost always the perpetrator or involvement with the perpetrators. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's you watch any true crime story and you'll see that. And yet we were told early on, you're victim shamers. No, I'm not victim shaming. God, read the PCA. I mean, read that PCA. No human knowledge. Human instinct is to tell the truth. It takes an effort to lie. It's a conscious act when you lie.
Right.
Right. So when someone tells you the person was approximately 5'10" and of not muscular but average build, that's describing herself, in my opinion. That describes Dylan.
She was looking in the mirror.
No, I'm just saying, when people
No,
ask
I know what
you
you're
gotta
saying,
answer an
but
unknown question, right? You got to lie on the fly.
did
So
she
you do
really
have
say
to
that
have-
though? Because that's
Yeah,
what the
she said that in
police
the PCA,
are
the
telling us she
description.
said. No, I know what you're saying, but that's what the police are telling us that she said.
No, I believe she actually said that. There's some stuff in quotes that's in that PCA that she actually did say.
Yeah.
I don't remember what page it's
You
on.
think she said frozen shock phase?
I don't know if that's in quotes or not. Whether she did or not, that may be a description of her going into shock.
I think that's one of the very few, if not the only thing that she says that's in quotes.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Thanks, Cletus.
But
So,
what are the
but
odds
here's the
that
thing:
a college student said that? 0.
you say frozen shock phase, and then you immediately closed and locked your door. When did this frozen shock phase then kick back in for 8 more hours?
Well, I've got a funny story because while I was driving down to Wawawai Park, right, I took a right down Wawawai Grade Road, and I lost cell service, and I was just so surprised that I was in the shock phase, but I still stayed on the road. I don't know how.
Well, we've all heard near miss auto collisions, and you are in frozen shock phase for a brief moment. Yet you managed to
Right.
steer your car out of danger, whether by reflex or instinct, right?
Right.
And
But
when it comes to, go ahead.
Did you ensure that your doors were locked?
Nah. I don't worry about that.
Let's see. Someone's got something. Well, I just think that the suspect is within the group of people that we're aware of, and I think they're actually. I really think that Dylan is the answer to this all, and not Bethany. And I suspect that unfortunately you're never going to be able to go anywhere with that.
Nope.
Unless you find a murder weapon. And so now we're if you want to find out what really happened to those poor kids, and the way this is going, it's going to be dismissed. That's it. These parents, these families will never get closure on this case. It's sad.
That's the other thing that blows my mind, because a lot of these guilters are like, well, we just care about the families. Well, if you cared about the families, you'd want the right person behind bars.
Yeah,
I would say I care more about the families than they do.
These people care as much about the families as these YouTubers care about Seth Rogers.
Right.
Well, I want to say this. In all fairness, I can't say that, and I'm not going to say that. What I care about is the law being applied based on the law as written. And regardless of what case I look at, I can't understand what it's like to lose a child or be killed. I can't relate to that. I know it's tragic, okay? And I'm more concerned with, and the only thing I should be concerned with as an American citizen is the application of the law.
Right.
I can't do anything about what's already been done. I do have sympathy for the family, but that doesn't do them any damn good. Doesn't do me any damn good.
Nope.
So the facts for me are all that really come into play. And there needs to be, for this kind of a crime, a substantial basis to charge somebody with a quadruple homicide before, okay? Or I mean, after you thoroughly investigated him, because everything Ann has told us in her motions were available to the police before they ever arrested this guy. They just had to do their damn job, and they didn't.
Well, I don't think they were trying to do their job. I think they were trying to save you of I. If they don't have anybody arrested by the semester starting, thousands of kids wouldn't show up. They would lose tuition. The town would lose money. That's what they care about.
We don't know that.
It's always about the money.
We don't know that to be. See, I don't know about any of that to be true. There's a potential for that, and that's why I guess this is why I can easily separate myself from even the people that are named as victims and people as perpetrators. Is that I don't really care what their motive is. I care to see that law is upheld. Like when you go and watch the Gigolo case, and 10 years went by because of police corruption. This guy kept killing for 10 years.
Right.
Right. That's horrific. The application of the law, the people we have in charge of the law to protect us, 10 years? No. That stuff really riles me up. And the stuff with Kohberger that riles me up is and I've been a criminal. And that's probably why I know this. There's nothing that can put him at that house and that accusatory instrument. It's all based on what I believe and what I think. And I don't want some guy going to jail because a cop thinks something bad about him. Don't they do that? They've been doing that to black people for how long? They think he's a criminal because he's got a gold necklace on. Well, that ain't enough, bro. Okay?
Right.
This is America. That shit bothers me. Okay?
I guess Kohberger should have drove a Ford.
Have you driven a Ford?
Would it have really mattered, though?
Well, I mean, it would appear.
As long as it was white and it was a sedan, they would have made it fit.
Per that PCA,
I'm going to say this. We've been graced by one of the biggest pushers of witch hunts, okay, and nonsense and third-party information. And Kim, I'd rather you just get out of here. Your Ass Hurts News does not need you here. You might want to go to someone else's room because you're not welcome here. You are one of the major problems of why these cases go off the rails and why people are falsely accused. You are probably one of the people, like many of the people that produced from their own loins the officers that are engaged doing what they're doing. They learned their way to some information up from the way they live and were taught. And when you got cops making accusations based on assumptions, and that's enough to charge someone with a quadruple, man, someone needs their ass slapped hard and not in a good way. Cletus?
Sir.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should consult with you, co-host. I just prefer she not be in here, and you can overrule me.
It is your channel, Sarge.
You know, or maybe she's one of the people.
Queen of moderation seems to have taken care of the problem for you.
All right, because I think there's too many people with third party information that makes all these claims that have nothing to do with what really happened that night. Did the police follow procedures? Is this case a solid case because we have factual evidence to go after this guy? And there hasn't been any, and yet everybody goes after this guy, and her being one of them. And I just, it disgusts me that Americans have gone that far down the rabbit hole. You go after Chris, you go after the cops that helped. A cop helped Donna Eyes, and you turn that woman into a pariah. And that's what social media has turned into. This has turned into, and this, like Cletus, you say, tell the people, is this real or not real, Cletus?
Is what real or not real?
It's real life.
The internet.
It's real life, absolutely.
It's absolutely real life.
There
What
is
happens
somebody
here?
there is somebody on the other end of every keyboard, right? And everything that is typed and is read, there's two people involved in that. It's a communication between two living, breathing human beings.
I do like the Don Hides because and the Kansas City 3. I do like those cases because they're indicative of everything that I've seen happen with these cases on YouTube and on social media, all of it, Twitter, Facebook, the same thing with politics. People are screwed up in the head, and it doesn't matter if you vote Republican or Democrat. We all know this, but none of us actually do anything about it. I mean, you just had a Congress stand up and hold the Ukrainian flag in your fucking house. That's America's building. And here they're waving Ukrainian flags, giving $61 billion of your money. If they don't give the money, the war ends. If they don't give the money, the war fucking ends. Who cares who started? It's none of our fucking business. And they're in there waving flags, giving away your money, and not a peep other than what? I'm going to vote for Trump. Yeah, that's going to fucking fix everything. I'm going to vote for Biden. Yeah, that'll fucking cure the country. That's what I mean. We're full of manic fucking morons surround us on the internet. And they have simpleton ways of viewing things, and they take the simplest path, which is to attack people. Baseless attack people. For what? Entertainment? You're entertained that you went after Brian Kohberger, who now appears to be fucking completely innocent? You ought to be fucking shamed. Like Nick Barris. That dude. And let's get to Sebastian before we close, because I did think I put a hashtag Sebastian. There's an open example of what you should have done. You bunch of fucking propagandists. You should have went after Nick Barris's fake video and shamed and attacked him and dug into his past. Find out if he was peeking in on restrooms or something, or he smacked somebody, or dig up his old girlfriends or ex-wives. Who the hell is Nick Barris to come out here and tell you people he has a video of that night and you do nothing to him? What do? You go after the parents, you sick bastards. Cletus?
I hear he operates pineapple farms.
Do you see where I'm coming from there, Twizzler?
Does he use them as stools?
My sources say yes.
Dang, the sources.
Right. And why aren't people smart enough to see that there are things we can do? Nick Barris is a perfect example. This guy shouldn't be a news reporter for doing what he did. That's wrong what that guy did in so many horrific ways. Yet, Chris smacked him with a belt. Chris must have done it. It's fucking mind-numbing, man. That's the purpose of this channel, is to start slapping people around and point out what's true and what's false, and then give them a question. Why are we not going after Nick Barris? Cletus?
I don't know. I guess because, it's been declared that leather has vaporizing capability.
Leather has vaporizing capabilities. You mean the belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the sheath.
Right. And why aren't we calling each other account when we attacked the cop with Donna Eyes that did exactly what above and beyond the call of duty and drove that woman to a location she requested? That's what you want your police to be like. But no, we turned her into a killer. Were you here for that, Twizzler?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, there was a case with this woman. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. But the hospital and the police did their duty. And the viewer turned the hospital and the cop into the reason this woman was dead.
Oh,
and in the end, it appears to have been a fentanyl overdose of her own. Right? So
that seems to happen every now and then.
It happens all the time, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so we're trying to push back about that, and I think people in the audience and people that are on streams, when you see stuff like that, you should politely say, "Let's not go there." You
I
know,
would
like I'm
agree.
telling you, the Chris Rogers. If you guys want something to get all up in arms about, get up in arms about that Nick Barris. You'll accomplish something. This guy should be public apologies, or at the very least should be made by him and that news network for interpreting that video the way he did.
Let's wait and see how many of them apologize when BK is free.
None. They're going to go on to the next one and do the same thing, and that's what they do: wash, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
And
Meanwhile,
it's
they
sad.
probably destroyed an innocent man's life just because they wanted to call him an incel.
And a stalker. What else do they call him, Cletus?
Anything but innocent.
Or a
That
nice
is
person.
That is a fucking wise statement. Exactly right. And there's nothing that we've seen that shows him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Nothing. In a country that demands that. And I also want to say this about Judge Judge. Judge Judge brings up a provision of the Constitution. And most people, regardless of where you fall in all of this, whether you're the crowd of fucking witch hunters or you're the sensible person that likes to look at the issues and the facts, a judge's only job, his only job, is to make sure that the government doesn't encroach upon your constitutional freedoms. That's it. It doesn't matter to him whether you did it or not. It's none of his fucking business, and it's a jury trial. It's not for him to determine. His only job is to make sure that whatever the government does against a citizen doesn't step across the limits placed on the government. And most of us don't know that. We start hating judges and their rulings, and that we don't like the ruling because we wanted the ruling the other way. Well, if you read the law and read the ruling, in most cases, you'll find that the ruling is consistent with law. And in the cases where it's not, there's something called a fucking appeals court. It sorts itself out over time. Fair enough?
Eventually. Sometimes it costs millions of dollars, though.
Unfortunately, it does. And in this case, Judge Judge used the Constitution and showed that Mr. Kohberger had that right. And then slapped the prosecution in the face by saying that, you know, now that this is all part of it's public, what was it? Public record?
On the public record.
Because all of it's now on the public record. He can't very well go and tell Kohberger he can't use it.
Nope.
Thank you, Bill.
Suck it, Bill.
We're right back at the beginning, Cletus. How about some comments from you? I need to get some soda.
I was going to request your sound effect that you had before I make a closing statement.
Which sound effect would that be?
The new one. Yeah, that sound. So anybody listening, if you hear that sound and you understand it, then you need to turn it up. If you don't understand it, then you probably need to tune out.
Yeah. Tune out with a quickness. Unbelievable. It's sad. And you know, Cletus, I apologize. I did monopolize this with all of this Kohberger stuff. There wasn't that many breaking news reports other than Nick Barris has been seen with a pineapple hanging out of his ass. More at 11. But he's the person in all of this that deserves being piled on. And that's the power of the people. And if we piled on reporters that did that, okay, and asked they be held to account, then you could start to slowly change the environment that you live in. But instead, we let some guy come out and attack his fellow parenting of the child, and we let all these people come out with these vicious stories about each other, the drama, and that's all we focus on. When the real drama gets unpunished, and the only drama we could say for sure exists in the Sebastian Rogers case is Nick Barris. There's unquestionably that. And every one of those YouTubers, the Terry Lynn's, the Smiley Story, the Dolly Vision, the T-Revs, the JLRs, jerk-offs like that help promote, create, and push drama that doesn't do a damn thing for anybody except apparently all of these tragedies are entertainment for the general public. It's sickening, man.
Yep.
I don't want to be entertained by the death or the missing child or...
You don't want to talk about the tunnel, Sarge? I've been in the WSU steam tunnels.
Wow.
Would
Yeah,
not be a
they
good
go right.
place
They
to.
go right. They go right up to Zana's bedroom.
No, they do not. They connect
No,
university buildings. But
I know.
either way, you wouldn't want to be dragging a body through them.
Thank you.
Well, you also got them being beat to death in a parking lot on Linda Lane, reflected in the asphalt, and it also consistently shows that Ethan is being urinated on by at least 3 men.
Yeah.
That's it.
All viewed on pay-per-view with footage taken from the drones.
Right.
Right. And who was that woman that just did that interview? What's her name?
That just did that interview.
Is it yeah, with Seth.
Oh,
or no,
Chris.
with Chris, yeah.
Yeah, Scary Lynn.
Yeah, Terry Lynn. And insisting this guy's an abuser of every woman he's been with, and asking him after he says no, that's not true. Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
Yet spends 3 hours on the phone with one bitch that deserved it.
I don't know if you had any chance to see this supposed pay-per-view recording of an interview between her and Chris. And all she does the whole interview is disparage the guy and accuse him of being a woman beater and child beater. And are you going to be able to sleep at night with that?
His ex-wife came out and basically said that, right?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You got to believe all women.
Yeah, there's nobody that's more truthful than a vengeful ex-wife.
Especially in a custody battle.
Right, yeah.
Right, and all of these channels that keep it, that's, folks, our responsibility to ourselves first actually is the responsibility to be a good citizen. And we do not pile on people. We do not convict them before the evidence shows them guilty. And we are supposed to, with the power of this communication tool, hold each other to account, especially people that claim to be of import, where your news channels are supposed to be the fourth branch of government. They're supposed to speak to power without any repercussion. The law protects them in ways you can't be protected. And yet those very people take advantage of that to get clicks, to get an income, and will say and do anything for that, and we don't hold them to account. That makes us the fucking biggest problem on earth. Not the Nick Barrises of the world, not these idiot streamers. They're the symptom. We're the disease, and we need to fix ourselves. And I'd like to give Twizzle a chance for a last comment.
No, I agree. I'm just gonna go on my side. It is your channel. I respect it. I personally have nothing against Kim. She did have kids that live here. She did want the kids to be safe, whether or not she did it in the greatest way possible ever, all the time, but I moved back here because I want the kids to be safe.
There's still streamers out there screaming that this stuff was known by the community long before it was ever known. And I find that to be egregious with no evidence. To accuse a community of knowing this and not calling the police and not doing anything
I do not disagree.
It's a bridge too far that need not be said if you can't prove it. And here's the deal. Third-party evidence is like wet toilet paper. You're going to get shit on you, okay? There's no way around it. So for me, show me your evidence and then tell me your story. That's how it works.
Fair. You're fair.
Right? I'm not asking you to do anything extraordinary, but show the evidence. Tell me the story.
You're right. I don't disagree.
And we need to hold each other to account. I've done that any of the channels I was a part of when I was on their Dago's channel. I went after that Dot. I went after several people, WSU included, with the same point. I want to see your proof, not your mouth, unless it's on my dick.
I agree.
Live.
You know what's really crazy, though? I don't know if you ever watched the interview room, but early on he was driving around the house and he talked to a neighbor that lives behind the house. And he apparently told him that he was woken up that night during the commotion, even though it was quiet, right? Nobody called then.
Well, did he record that? Can he verify that person said that? See, then I don't want to know it. See, that's the point I'm trying to make.
No,
if you can't verify it, then
I 100% agree, but that's what he said. I mean, he showed the kid's car, and I think he showed like his feet when he walked up to him.
But did the conversation get carried so that we all heard the guy? So. Yeah. So see, stuff like that I ignore. It's third-party information that's unverifiable.
I agree.
If later he were to testify in court and come forward with it, then of course I'll accept it.
Right.
right? But when I deal with
My
information,
point was that it just wasn't quiet. I mean, have it on the camera next door or like the
yeah,
microphone next door, you know?
yeah, there's
So
some
lots of
information
people
that said it
heard
was
this
noise.
going on. Nobody called the cops, which is weird.
Well, I don't know that because nobody's come forward to tell us that and actually swear to it.
Yeah.
So I can't see. Here's the thing: I don't accept the hypothesis because it's not supported with fact. Now, it doesn't mean that you're lying, but it doesn't really help move the needle anywhere because it's now I have to believe that, and when you believe things, you do it in spite of there being a simple fact, and I don't do that with data. I think about it, and so hearing that, to me, it's like there was a time where they said Bethany saw a naked man running. I'll never forget that, but I wouldn't make a stream and argue that. You follow me?
Right. No,
Because
again, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I'm not saying
Well, I'm
it's
not
fact. I'm just
lecturing you.
saying it's
I'm just
interesting.
yeah. There's a lot of interesting points we can make on all of this stuff, but sadly, they're all unverifiable, and the same goes for everything that's been accused towards Mr. Kohberger. They're at this point
Yeah.
unverifiable at best, and at the most, they're completely deniable.
Yep. You've seen Boondock Saints, right?
No,
Oh.
what's that?
It's a movie. It came out early 2000s. It's really good. But at the start, they talk about this situation with Kitty Genovese, I think is her name. She gets murdered, and there's hundreds of people around or whatever, and nobody calls the cops. And it is actually a true story, and it's a true I don't know the exact psychological term for it, but
Okay,
it's a term because everyone will think that someone else is calling the cops, so nobody calls the cops.
I could
It's a
see
real
that
thing.
happening. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But knowing it, wouldn't you then have cell phone communications between friends and family, even if you didn't call the police? Wouldn't there be some record of somebody or many people? Just think about that in today's day and age with this generation of kids. I mean, a guy could pull a gun on them and they hold up their phone. Don't shoot me. I'm recording you.
Right.
They don't know that they should have their own gun. They think that phone is everything,
Yeah.
you know?
No,
So
that's what always gets the kids in trouble because they record everything, right? Fights
and
at
I
school and
find it,
stuff.
yeah, if this were 25 years ago, okay, but not today. They
Yeah.
record everything they do. As a matter of fact, they've made a lifestyle and an income. They've turned it into a profit generating business to take pictures with their phones,
Right.
right? A lot of the people are on here watching us on a phone. So for some horrific event like that to take place and all these people's friends not contacted, no cell phone taken that we're aware of from any of the people that were in the area to see, in other words, the cops would have wanted to know that.
Right.
Right. And yet you got people coming out here making that claim. There's one person that actually edited a video of a woman in a news interview to make it look like she's saying she knew at 10 o'clock that Xana had passed. And the woman
Right.
didn't say that at all.
No,
But
there's
in
all
the
sorts of
edited
weird stuff
version,
going on.
pardon me?
There's lots of weird stuff going on. I always say that you better get that raw footage. I don't trust anything that looks edited.
Yeah, I edited or not produced, but if you cut it short so that it looks like that girl's saying that when that's not what she said.
Right.
You don't have the whole context of the conversation. You have just a blurb.
Yep.
And it makes it look like something it's not, and that's what the news media is famous for.
Yep.
Yeah, and that I think call it for the night. Cletus, I kept you in here for almost an hour and a half, and you were supposed to pass out earlier.
You
Yeah.
might be passed out now.
No, I'm here. I got a burst of energy right before showtime.
Well, thanks for having me up, gentlemen. Sarge, great talk. I'll
Stop
watch
back.
some of your videos. Maybe I'll talk to you again sometime.
Well, it was nice meeting you. I don't think we've ever talked before, so thanks for coming in.
Nah, I've chatted with you a little bit in chat, but it was a long time ago. But
Okay.
if you guys want to watch that video of me driving down to Wowawai, it's on Dinky IMO's channel.
Yeah, I think
So,
I've seen parts of that, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Yep.
Interesting
All right.
stuff. I'm driving back down in a little bit, so
There you go.
you
Don't
guys have a
insert
great
yourself
night.
into the limelight. I like that last comment by Great Pearl.
See you, Twizzle.
See you guys later.
Have a good night. Cletus?
Yes, sir.
Well, we don't want to repeat last night. Maybe we'll try to part on even terms.
On even
what-
terms?
Well,
What's that?
yeah, no, well, don't start. I couldn't stop myself. I dragged him in and then I had to just click off on him. I'm sorry, Cletus. I really meant to do it on even terms, but when you started asking additional questions, I knew you were moving to hang up on me, so I had to preempt you. Oh my God. Yeah, Gray Pearl. Yes. Rude, she says. Well, rudeness is what we do here at Your Ass Hurts News Network. High atop the tip of the Cock Tower Square. We came to you live, and we will be back again tomorrow night, same time, 9 o'clock. And join, subscribe, be a part of the show. Have a good night.